this is part 6, where everything is starting to come together. Okay, it's Sunday morning, and I still have lots to do. The run through on Friday night went really well. Well, I think we're feeling really good about what we're bringing, what we're doing, how everything is sort of going to work together. We discovered something interesting, which is that the Easy Worship demo that I'm using has to access the Windows time server in order to run properly, you know, because it's part of its demo, part of its ability to time out after the trial. And so that means that the Surface is going to have to connect to the internet in the middle of a cathedral in order to run without it having a big watermark splashed across the output. So that's an added bit of electricity we're going to have to sort out, but I have managed to tether this to my phone, which if there's just enough signal, that should be okay. But that's a cool random factor that we like to throw in there. I haven't decided yet. Well, I need to work out this morning whether I'm going to use the dock. The dock is great because it has all these USB ports on the back, which is super, and those are not just hubbed USB ports. They are they're sort of paired in being additional USB ports as opposed to a hub off the single port as we have at the side. The problem with it is that it's fixed in angle, so I have to use it in this way, which might not be appropriate because I'm going to be standing up at a desk, which is probably going to, or at a table, which is probably going to be too low. So I'm going to want to raise this up, but then am I going to want to flatten it a bit more so I can access it better? Otherwise it's going to be quite awkward. So this is not ideal, but I've already tried running what I need to run through my little hub here and it didn't work. So I've got this hub, which is a new hub, a nice new, looks nice and shiny hub. 7-port USB 3 powered hub, so it has its own power supply. That may fare better, but I've got to try that out. I don't know whether that's going to work yet. That's all the excitement is all about. I probably won't need the keyboard because I'm actually not going to be playing anything live other than triggering loops in Ableton. So although I feel it's kind of like a safety blanket having a keyboard, which means I could make noises if I wanted to. It's like having a guitar. I kind of think of taking a guitar with me, but I don't actually need it, and I want to make everything as simple as possible, really, particularly for this first event. But I've still got to plug in my Launchpad, get that to work. I've got a whole song that I've realised that I hadn't condensed down to an Ableton Live track yet, so I've got to do that this morning. And then I've got to practice, and then practice some more. There's a few odds and ends I need to tidy up. Some of the video loops are not quite looping as well as they should, so I need to go back and revisit those. And I have to pick up the PA in about 2 hours. So that's what I've got. I've got 2 hours. Awesome. Let's get to it. So after a lot of messing about and stuff, this is my final configuration for the gig tonight. Let me take you through it to show you why I made the choices that I made. If that's interesting. I don't know if that's interesting. It seems like it might be interesting. So we have the Launchpad. The Launchpad works beautifully with Live for triggering various scenes. So that's a vital bit. That means that I don't have to worry quite so much about getting my fingers on these bits here. Although in the future I'd really like to look at maybe desktop scaling this screen to see whether that makes that better, or indeed creating an emulator template to do all this bit with me so I don't need the additional controller. I don't know. I'll look at that later. But anyway, but that's working beautifully. One point to note is that the base station keyboard and this wouldn't play nice together. This would not run with the base station attached, which is a bit of, you know, tech support, tech troubleshooting I'll look into another time. I don't have time right now, but this would not install with the other one in, so I'm not bringing the keyboard, but I don't need the keyboard, so that's fine. Okay, moving over here for the sound output, I've gone with the UR28M for the only reason really of this knob, because it allows me to very easily fade the music up, fade it down. Much simpler than I can do it on the little squidgy front panel on the on the fast track. So that gives me that. It's just such a better form factor to work with. I like it a great deal. It also has its own power supply, so it's not draining anything from the surface. So lots of good boxes being ticked with this particular fella. I've not gone with the dock. There's the dock sitting there all very forlorn, because it's just at the wrong angle. I need it up on my stand here, which is a pretty cool little stand, which I used to have my laptop on, and I couldn't put it on here with the dock because it would be all folded far too far forward and be completely useless to use or to see. Whereas like this, I can touch things and change things and run things with my fingers. Easy. Very, very easy. And this is Easy Worship running my screen over here, which will be eventually running or split to about 8 different screens. I've taken the keyboard off because actually laid at this sort of angle it wouldn't fit on the stand either with the keyboard, because the stand bit of the back, the kickstand, was too far back. So I've taken the decision to remove the keyboard, which again I don't actually need, but it's sort of there as a kind of a safety, if that makes sense. But I don't need it, so I'll take it along with me because I might need to do some editing before the gig, last minute bits and pieces. But otherwise that's running brilliantly. I was also going to run some background music from Windows Media Player just running in the background, which should work fine, but I discovered I could also kind of do it in live. I mean, if I stop playback here, I can actually run one of my audio tracks from here, because there's essentially just auditioning it from down here, which is fine, although it does cut out rather abruptly if I touch anything. So I'll think about that and see how I feel about that in a while. Also, I've put the various projects into folders down on the left here. I'd ideally like to have just a list of my projects very easily to get to, rather than having to go to File and Open Recent Set. But that's putting the folders here makes that almost work. It's just I've still got other versions of it and other bits and pieces there as well. But it means I can load it with the finger. Obviously my pen is going to come into use here with various bits and pieces, trying to get that to work, because I don't need to launch clips here, but I may need to do some adjusting with it. I also found that it wasn't working earlier, so I think I might be low on battery, which is a bit of a worry. Perhaps there should be an indicator which tells you whether the battery's going flat or not. I don't know. I'll look into that. So there we are. There's my little setup. Screens, control panel, live, Easy Worship, UR28M. And now I need to transport all of this to the cathedral. I need to take a dozen other screens with me and cables galore, as I need to be able to plug it all into the PA. And then we'll be ready to go. Nice! In our final part, we'll be looking at what happened on the night and sharing our thoughts about the whole experience.